Is there a link that I can put on my?
Yes, and we're live. So, hello everyone. This is Meshell Baker, and this is the Women of Sales and Influence. And welcome to Monday, December 2nd. I have with me another fabulously incredible woman of sales and influence, and Serria Rego is going to be with us. She's going to be our guest. I met her when I was at the B2B Expo in Los Angeles, and we've stayed and connected and had some amazing conversations. And I just love how when you are on your purposeful path, the people that you're attracted to and who you get to meet throughout your journey. So I am Meshell Baker. I am the host. I am the director of global sales development for the National Association of Sales Professionals. They are our sponsor. I am actually an award-winning international keynote speaker and an expert confidence coach. And this is the format where we talk about the belief of business and how to really move forward with business and to be a force to be reckoned with for good in your businesses for women. So you know the format here. So Serria, I welcome and invite you as an incredible woman to step into our format. We model how to introduce ourselves. So I'm going to hand it over to you so you can tell everybody what makes you awesome. And
Oh,
welcome.
well, thank you, Meshell. I appreciate that. And thank you for having me on. What makes me awesome? I would say my understanding of people and my background. So I'll give you guys a quick background. I'm from Chicago, born and raised. I have a degree in finance from a school called Bradley University. And the only reason I studied money is because I figured no matter what you do, you should always understand how money works. And I'm so happy that my little baby brain pointed me in that direction. And now, as an adult, I do the same thing. I'm actually a Think and Grow Rich coach, and I'm also I guess a influencer of entrepreneurs. My goal is to really strengthen the habits, the mindsets, the finances of entrepreneurs. That's it.
Nice. So you didn't start off that way. And if you see me looking down, it's because I do double duty. So I'm on Facebook, putting this out into the
Okay.
universe. So I'm not
Okay.
ignoring you. I always like to let people know, especially people watching, they like, why is she not looking at her guests? Because I'm actually doing and on here, posting this for us. So I know you did not start off in finance like after college.
No,
If correct me, because I remember you saying that you were a model. I mean, you're
I was
fabulous.
a model.
Like I said,
Yeah,
like not just fabulous in finance and all the mind stuff. She's just fabulous all
thank you. Yeah, no, I was a model for 7 years. And honestly, that strengthened my relationship to money even more so because when you're modeling and you're traveling the world and you're around all these successful people, you get to see what they're doing versus what you're doing.
around.
And, sometimes it's complete opposite. And for me, it was complete opposite, even coming from finance. What I was taught to do wasn't what any of what they were doing. So when I retired from modeling at about 28 and I got back into finance, I got back in with a new direction and new intentions on what I needed to understand and what I needed to work on with myself. I mean, that was the biggest thing. I didn't even know school doesn't teach you to work on yourself,
Mm-mm.
and you got to work on yourself. Like there's a reason Oprah is Oprah, right? She's not the same Oprah that she was when she was in her late 20s, right? And even you and me, we work on ourselves. The things that the way that we thought in the past isn't the same way that we think. Our open-mindedness is different. Our communication, our compassion is also different because we work on ourselves. And I saw that as a way of like living, as a way of being. And I was like, I can take that on. I can take on being a constant work in progress. I like that.
I love that you said, and you referenced Oprah. I just listened to one of her books on tape this weekend. Just profound everything she says, right? And
Mhm.
again, she said the same thing, right? There is no there, basically, is what you're saying. You're saying that we are a constant work in progress. And, you recognize instead of like trying to be what you weren't, right? And
Mhm.
running through all your money is what many people do who get into that. So when we come from these humble backgrounds, or, humble is a good word from, being broke, right?
Uh-huh.
Right? Coming from the hood for some of us, right? Right. We come from these
Yeah.
backgrounds, and then you get thrust into these lifestyles because you're gifted, you're talented, or for whatever reason, the first inkling is you want to be like them. So you
Yeah.
start spending the money. So a lot of times what we see rich, and rich is
Mhm.
not wealthy. We see
No,
people
it's
who have the stuff and have the clothes. And what I've learned, similar to what you were saying, and I'd love to just dive into that, is because that leads to habits, that leads to mindset, or what we our thoughts leads to behaviors, which done over time lock in as habits. And attempting to be like someone else by through the purchases or the acquisitions will always lead to failure.
right.
I mean, is what I found. So, I mean, and there's no absolutes, right? There's always those few
Yeah.
people who can do it well, but we just talk about the general population
Yeah.
seeking to buy all this stuff, thinking that it's going to get me somewhere. I'd love for you to talk about, like, what were some of the biggest disparities that you saw in how the wealthy live versus how where you came from?
You know what? I want to talk about that, but I want to piggyback off what you
Yep.
just said in terms of us trying to mimic people. Like, for example, you know, you're 100% right. And I think we pick the wrong things to mimic. Like Beyonce, for example, you might, someone might spend all of their money on some red bottom shoes because Beyonce has it. But if you're going to mimic her work ethic, mimic her, coming in earlier and stand later than everybody, mimic her,
Hmm.
watching videos and improving her performance, like mimic that, you
Hmm.
know, if you're going to mimic something, mimic that part.
Right.
So that's what I think, that's one of the things that I saw, um, in terms of wealthy people. I saw their communities were different. Like, for example, when I pick my girlfriends, I just pick who's cool, who I knew since I was 14. I just pick who's around. Like, and it's not to say that they're not picking who's around, but because of their elevated status or their neighborhoods, the people they're around, can somehow be really big influencers too. And
Hmm.
if you're not lucky enough to grow up with some influencers, sometimes you have to go out and create your tribe, and
Hmm.
you gotta be a person worth knowing to those people, because if you're trying to deal with phenomenal people, you can't be having average and ordinary conversations. You got to step it up. It's almost like, you're pursuing someone. You gotta pursue. And I'm so aware of that because I'm always in the market for friends. Always, always, always. And I look at it as, a date. I want to, show someone why I'm awesome, why I'm fun, why I'm an asset to their life, and I want them to become friends, lifelong friends, right? And that's what I saw. I saw great relationship skills. I saw people who listened a lot more than any of my, unfortunately broke friends. They listened a lot more than my, friends. And I mean, listen, like, with the understanding that there was something to learn from everyone. I thought that
Oh,
was huge.
oh
I,
my God. This
yeah,
conversation, I'm listening to you, like I know we had this conversation, but I'm just listening, right?
yeah.
It's good. It's really good.
Yeah, so I love that. And I also, one of the things that I also saw was, they would take chances, they would
Mm.
just take chances, and they wouldn't, like, it's not like just jump out the window with no parachute. It was definitely have a parachute, understand, have somebody down on the floor if you can't, but they wouldn't be afraid to take chances. And I see a lot of, my friends and the people I'm around that don't take any chances. They get into their job, they try to retire there if whether the job wants them or not. They're like, I'm staying. And it's that lack of chance that doesn't get us on the other side of the equation. We got to take some risks. That's what it's about. So I love the, um, taking of chances. It's huge. That's what I saw a lot of.
Okay. And I love, so what I heard, and just to pare it back, One, the first thing was that, oh, and I just had it in my head. Oh my goodness. What
The community, their
I,
community,
well,
the
yeah,
first thing
there,
is their community.
well, the
Country.
mimic. So the first thing you talked
Uh-huh.
about is picking what to mimic. And
Yeah.
then the community was the
Mhm.
selection. So yeah, that was number two, how they were intentional about how they selected. And that goes to that Jim Rohn, we are the average of the people we spend time with. And when you think about mimicking, right, you're generally mimicking people you're around, right? You mimic what you see, right? And that's the number one way that humans and any warm-blooded mammal on this planet learns is through modeling,
Yeah.
right? We think we're smarter than we are. If you remember Animal Kingdom on Sundays before Disney came on, right? I'm
Yeah.
dating myself. But anyway, but animal always, if you watch any animal that does not have the ability to speak, which is everything besides us, right?
Yeah.
They learn by watching. They
Mhm.
learn, and we do too. We just act like we don't,
We do.
right? We
Mhm.
really think we're smarter than we are. And this is
Yeah.
why I love this conversation about habits, and that mimicking was the first thing you brought up. Because if we are surrounding ourselves with people who've never gone, done, seen, experienced what we believe is possible for ourselves, then we're not going to get there.
Mhm.
You gotta. And so that was when you go outside, when you talked about, go back to the last thing you said, was taking the risk. In order
Mhm.
to create the desires of your heart, we are just created to create, right? This is why we have so much technology and advancements and beautiful, wonderful, and incredible,
Absolutely.
interesting, and intriguing things in our world, is because people create. And that's what we're meant to do. So when we're not creating, when you're not giving, like Beyonce's gift is music, right? Music and entertainment. So we just get to be an audience to her genius,
Mhm.
right? Oprah, like you said, her gift was that she actually gave everybody permission to self-develop. Because
Mhm.
all we watched Oprah do was get guests on, because she was like, what's my next level? All right, I'm gonna find a guest to help me. And then we watched her next level, next level, next level, next level
Mhm.
throughout her journey, right?
Mhm.
So she just gave us permission to see that it's okay not to know everything. It's okay to fail. It's okay to be nervous. It's okay to be like, and not care, because her purpose was so powerfully entrenched in her. She didn't, it was not, it was about honoring that,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And that's what you're talking about. And that's where I always go back to, the habits are what we constantly do on a daily basis. And we create the habits because we're seeking to feel good. And when that feel good isn't tied to a wonderful future, we just repeat.
Mm. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, and I would love, like, yeah, that you were saying, the first thing you said about, one of the things you mentioned about friends. And
Mhm.
I've been guilty of that, right? Even when I started in business, right?
Mhm.
I started going to the women's networking organizations, and I started picking the women who looked successful,
Oh, okay.
right? Or sounded successful, right?
Yeah.
Because they would tell you what to do. They like, oh, you do. So I thought, oh, she's successful because she knows all the things.
Uh-huh. But you know
No,
what?
that's
That's a good start, though. That's a good start. You're
right.
gonna
It's
find your people out of that people versus the people who
yes,
aren't confident, who don't look the part. You know what I mean? I have to
exactly.
pick from the group. I would pick from that group too to find my people in that group versus everybody else. And I'm like, mm-mm. I mean, I think you were in the right ballpark. And I think that's part of the game too. Of course, we're going to have our fakers and all that good stuff. But one of the things that I hear you talking about is confidence. And that's it's a big attractor. If you see somebody confident, you're pointing in the right direction.
Yeah, yes, yes.
Mm.
And like you said, that the people in the communities that were successful and wealthy, they listened more than they talked, right?
Absolutely.
Because yeah, and that's one of those things. How I can't help you if I didn't hear what you said. And if I am quick to start telling you what to do after you just said one thing, I'm not really helping you. I'm actually going to lead you astray,
Right.
right? It takes a
Yes.
lot more questions, right? So, okay,
Mhm.
so if I heard what you just said, that you're struggling And so, is this something that you've done? Like, there takes, like, when you're working with someone with their finances, you can't start making recommendations on their future after they answer one question.
Which is so interesting because yet you find people who take advice from TV shows. I'm like, does that TV show know you? Do they know you? What they know about you? Ask them. Let me hear it.
I'm sorry. She's like, do they know you?
Do they? They don't know you.
And it's so true. It's so true. Or I love the people who will say, you know what you ought to do, and they tell you, and I'm just like, oh my God, that's absolutely amazing. Now, why should I do that? Right? And then they don't have an answer. Right? But as a society, like you said, we are conditioned to believe someone because of their status, because of what they have, and it's not, even though it's true, it might not be true for you.
Yeah, absolutely. What Susie Orman did might not work for you.
No,
what Beyonce didn't work for Lizzo. We can, and it's a good path if you want to take it on. And one of the last things that I wanted to add, because I forgot to add this, and I think this is one of the most important things to say to any woman. When I was around I'm always around wealthy people, but when I was modeling and I was like a fly on the wall in the room of wealthy people, what I noticed is that they were most passionate about money. You know what I mean? Like, I'll have friends that are passionate about whatever their hustle is, right? And that's all they can look at, think about, talk about. They're only passionate about that. And if that goes great, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But they're not necessarily passionate about money. And money is, if you're passionate about money, then you're at least headed in the right direction, because you can take advantage of different opportunities, right? So you'll have a guy who owns a shopping mall, but he also has a piece of Vegas, but he also has a clothing store. He's also doing movies, and he and his friends are invested in the bank. You see what I'm saying? So I love that, because my girlfriends were like, well, if you didn't get a degree in it, you kind of shouldn't be doing it. That's what my friends are. And I was taught that, like, and it was almost like, you're doing something that you don't have a degree in? Ugh, must be embarrassing. Like, shame, that's terrible, right? But with them, they were such money connoisseurs, and it made me not be afraid to be okay loving money and playing that game. And what I love with women is that with us, we're so generous, we're so compassionate, we're so loving and giving, that if we had more money, we would just give more of it away.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. And so I say yes, and I say and. So this is intriguing because and hello, Diana Jackson. She is one of our avid, whenever she has time, she chimes in. So, and anybody else watching, hello, as you watch the recordings, I know people watch the recordings. So the money, so love of money. Now, are you talking about money specifically, just money itself? Because I know money is just energy. Money, like, to me, it's dirty paper, right? So it's the energy of wealth that intrigues me more than money itself, right? And I've taught value first, money follows. So money is cyclical, and money attaches itself to value, attaches itself to abundance, attaches itself to a different mindset, right? So one of the things you talked about, wealthy people, I know that they self-develop. So when the mind believes that I deserve wealth, right? And wealth is directly correlated to money. So when I believe that I deserve this, I will also create the value that attaches to that as well. It's not just money for the sake of money. Absolutely. So that I want to kind of like, because sometimes if you don't say that clearly, people start going, oh, if I just love money, it's going to come, right?
No, yeah. No.
She's like, oh no. And I know we've talked, so I know that's not what you mean.
Yeah. But I do feel like there's a shame around being money motivated.
Yes.
You know, I feel like there's a shame around it, and especially towards women more so than men. We really get like embarrassed. Like, well, I don't do that because of money, and like, why not? Why can't you do that because of the money? Why, if that money is going to change your mom's life or
Mhm.
help you contribute to your community in another country, or help you put your kids through college, why not? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. And I think we should play that game a little more than what we've been doing as a gender.
Exactly. Like, yes, exactly. Hello, Nisi. So we have someone else join. I haven't, and she put up a beautiful, I gotta just shout you out. You know how somebody people put headshots and they like all like, just glorious. Nisi got
Yes.
that glory. Nisi, you got a glorious one up on Facebook. I just gotta shout you out on that. Because sometimes you're just having a real good shot and you're like, oh, people need to know. Right. And she
Yeah.
put that shot up. I'm like, oh, we
Good.
we have been notified, Nisi. That's all I'm saying.
That's
So, but yes, the shame of money. So I know personally, I went through as an entrepreneur, I struggled. What happened to our volume?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Oh, something. We're good.
I heard.
Yes. Yes. I don't know what happened. There was like a reverb that jumped in. Sorry about that. Yes, there's a struggle. So I realized not recently, but then within the last 18 months, I recognized that being raised kind of like where there was a struggle in blue collar, so you were taught not to want, so there was a shame behind wanting, because we would go to the store, we pull up and she would look and say, you don't want nothing, you ain't getting nothing, don't touch nothing, don't ask for nothing. And that's how you would go in the store, because it was a budget, right? They didn't
Yeah,
have it to give, so
had
not
it.
knowing how to share with you that not now is not the time, or let's put it on layaway, or teach you a different way around how to pace out possibly wanting something in the future. But instead, there was just a shutdown. Don't want, like, so that what that ingrains. And anybody listening, if you're a parent, if you have kids, there's a whole bunch of us, and this is not race related, because I talk to my clients and they're all colors, shapes, and sizes. Many of us have been taught this: you don't want nothing, stop asking me for stuff. So it ingrains and embeds in us this real uncomfortable thing around wanting. So we want it, but we don't really want it, or we want it, or we don't want to say we want it, or we want it, we don't want to tell somebody, oh no, that's too much. So we dial it back instead of stepping into something massively abundant and saying, you know what, this is what I want, this is who I'm going to be, this is who, like, I serve something greater than me, and if he be for me, who could, like, instead of really stepping to what they call the fullness thereof. And I love that you talked about the shame, because there's so much shame around the fact that of love money. There's nothing wrong with loving. Like, one of my affirmations every day is I'm a money and wealth magnet. My phone rings, beeps, and chimes money all day long. I'll say it out loud. I say it every day, all day. And it rings Cardi B money, because I want to get that shift. So I remind myself, money is good, right? I don't care what anyone has taught me. Money is a good thing to have. Like you said, it allows us to live life easier. It allows us to do amazing things for family and friends, to take care of us. I get my glorious facials that keep my skin young and taunt, right?
Yeah.
I can do all kind of fun things, right? So I'm just saying.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. No, we have to prioritize making money a lot
It,
more.
yeah, and this is a timely conversation, because people are now taking out, and like, in 2 weeks from yesterday, I'll be with a group of people here in Austin, and we'll be doing the vision board, right? I used to do it as a offering. I only do it when people request it, or if I'm hired in. I don't like promote it. It's just, right, because there's too much tied to just attracting the stuff without doing the work,
Yeah.
right? And so I really stay away from it unless it's specific to an event or something else. And I love that you're saying there's nothing wrong with wanting more money. It's absolutely
Well,
nothing
there's
wrong.
not. And I think it's not that I think. The process of it is so interesting. So I've been studying money and history for a long time, and you got to understand the way America was started to understand what's happening, right? There's a book called um, Oh, there's so many good ones. I
You
can't even.
can post it in chat later, or
Okay,
it'll
yeah,
pop up before
okay,
we get
we'll do
off.
it later. But I just know I've read like so many books about money. But the gist is this: America was started from a class system. Like the people that came to America, they were at the lowest class over in England, right? So when
Mhm.
they came here, the Constitution and all that makes it seem as if the equality was what we wanted, right? Equality, everybody equal, one nation under God, blah 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 blah. And maybe not. And human nature can also be where
Yep.
we just want to be somewhere where we can finally be on top,
Yes.
right? So if in order for people to be on top, people have to be on the bottom. So I was listening to this term called compassion, the compassionate entrepreneur. And it's basically where we're business owners, but we're not at the demise of our fellow sister and brother, right? We're creating commerce, we're creating opportunities, we're creating things so that other people can also live abundantly while they're helping us um, reach our goals. And I'm saying all that to say that everything compounds, right? And historically, our top 2%, what they've always had around them have been teams. They've always had advisors. They had the
Mhm.
best lawyers. They had the best this and that, right? So it's not crazy that their wealth is compounding and that family's wealth is compounding, and our wealthy are getting wealthier. That's not abnormal or crazy because their money's compounding. So much so that even if someone had a poor kid and they put them in this line of wealth, that kid won't be poor. That kid will still be wealthy, right? But on the other side of the equation, Meshell, poverty compounds as well. So not when we're working hard but not creating wealth, when we're not creating the advisors, when we're not prioritizing our financial growth and our financial education, when we're not, it's not an accident that we end up where we end up, right? Because poverty still compounds. And even if you're the doctor and a long line of a poor family, you're still going to be poor because
Mhm.
that you're still on the poverty train. You haven't gotten off the poverty train. The only
Mhm.
thing that's going to get you off that poverty train is by you stopping. You're stopping that ride, you're getting off, you're getting led into a different direction because you're going to go one way or the other. There's no standing still in this lifetime. You're either moving forward or moving backwards,
Mhm.
period. Right? So that's why it's important for people to not only understand that working hard is great, but I mean, you can work hard for free. The hardest people in America are also, they're not making wealth. So it's not just the hard work, it's the community, it's the education, it's the constant growth, it's the abundance. Because one of the things that stops people from getting from point A to B is their focus. I hear it. Oh, you know what? I can't attend a class on money. I got to focus on my business. I'm like, really? Well, can you attend a class at the gym or do you have to focus on your business too? Like, when did we become these one trick ponies where if we're doing one thing, we can't, like, that means you can't have a husband. That means you can't have any girlfriends. That means you can't do anything because you're focused. Like,
Mhm.
that's not how it works. How you do one thing is how you do everything. And if you have teams and you have friends and you understand that there's abundance and learning is a way of being, then you're naturally going to be more curious and take things on without it necessarily stopping your commitment to your purpose. Does that
Right.
make sense?
It makes absolute sense. And, and we're going to wrap up because we're about that time, but I just wanted to just say that I appreciate everything you said. And one of the things that I remind people is what wealthy and successful people do exceptionally well is they don't try to teach themselves what they don't know. They
Absolutely.
hire out. So what are the chances that so when you have a vision, you're saying, I want to do something I've never done. I want my mind to imagine something amazing and incredible that I'm going to create, whatever that is. If it's a new job, a promotion, more money, a bigger house, a husband, you want to create something that doesn't currently exist where you are. So what are the chances that you could teach yourself something you don't know? It's like shooting arrows in the dark. So what you've just said, which I aspire to, right? So whenever it's time for me to level up, I start manifesting, okay, what does that look like to get from here to here, and who's done it before me? Research that, right? You said mimic, so I don't have to recreate the wheel. Okay, and then start having conversations and questions. I don't have to hire the first person, and sometimes you don't even have to hire. You'd be amazed at what you can learn when you start getting curious, and when you just believe that this is the path of you to create value in the world. And that's the trick, right? When I tell people there's a huge difference between trying to get something and trying to give something. And when you learn to be a giver, that's when money will start to attach itself to you. That's when you start, because then you're giving, not just giving because, and there's a difference between giving because you think you're going to get something, right? That's not actually giving,
No,
right? And I'm
that's like
talking
layaway giving.
right. And when you're clear and you're looking at, like, these are my categories. So I have health and wellness, I have finances, I have my career, I have like so there's categories, and you want to look at how you're spending time. So, and that's the habit. So everything goes back to, we are habit automators. And
Absolutely.
and sales is directly correlated to money. And that's why I love having this conversation, because I've learned, whenever I stop the activity of consistently selling, consistently enrolling, and just consistently having conversations that are valuable. Sometimes I'll just pick a day and say, you know what, everybody today I call, I'm just going to call and say thank you. I'm just going to call and see what you need, because that's still value, right? And you'll be amazed at how many sales I actually get by the end of that day, or how many future sales will come from that day of calls, right? So it's just the habit of being valuable, and to yourself first, right? Your mindset, your health, your money, right? All the things that are going to take you to where you want to be, and then valuable to others. And habits are powerful.
Yeah, your body, so many times entrepreneurs neglect their bodies. I don't have time. You make it.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yes.
So
So
this
thank
this
you.
no, thank you for this hat, because I'm a fan, right? That has been a change in my life for habits. And when you and being on that path personally for habits, I've uncovered so many self-limiting beliefs, so much doubt, so many things that like were said to me in like childhood that still were so deeply rooted, it was causing problems as an adult now, decades later, right? And but that's the journey of self-development. Self-development really is where you start to align with the thing that will be purposeful and profitable. And I like you, I'm that person that I truly believe that money just allows you to be a better version of you, right? It's not a bad thing, right?
And we need more goodness out here.
We need more goodness,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, nobody talks about Oprah being a bad person and she got billions, right? And she self-developed, and the whole time created more income doing it. She's not special, right? She's amazing, but she's not special in the fact that we all have a capability of being the best versions of who we are, and money will help you do that. So
Absolutely.
get an education on money. Serria is one of those people that can help you educate. She has programs, she has classes, she has stuff, right? So you're not just getting someone who went through a bunch of books and said, oh, you know what, based on the book, this is what you should do. Someone who actually has experienced what money can do, how it changes your life, being in both worlds, and seeing the impact.
A lot of mistakes, Meshell. I made a lot of mistakes trying to do it by myself. I bought an apartment building that didn't work out well. I invested in a market, and that didn't work because I was taking advice without guidance. I was like, well, I heard some, let me do what they said to do. And there was no guidance. There was nobody helping me know when to get in, get out, what questions to ask. And people lose money that way, trying to get advice without guidance. It's a big problem.
Yeah. So this is fabulous. I'm so excited to have you on and to have this money conversation. How can people get in touch with you? We want them to be able to get in touch with you.
What about my Facebook? Can they go through my Facebook and
yes,
can you put a link on the thing?
Yes, I can't do it on my phone, so I'll do it once we get off. I'll put it in there, and then I'll tag everybody who is watching, who is in there, that so they can get a link to you. And
Yeah,
then what we'll do is we'll and it'll be housed there. So anybody watching the replay, just go down in the comments, and you'll actually be able to see yeah, the comments on this. So this is awesome, and thank
yeah.
you.
You're welcome. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So
Have a
stay where you are. Oh, go ahead. You're going to say something?
no, no, no. Go ahead.
Uh,
We're just gonna say
So,
have an amazing rest of the day. Everyone have a great year. We're at the end of the year.
I
Build
know.
habits. Start your habits now. Don't wait until January. If you're waiting until January, you're procrastinating. And as
Eh,
long as you're okay with it, we're okay with it. Uh,
Yeah, this coming year is 2020 vision. So you this year is, I mean, I believe that, as a world, we have the opportunity to have a consciousness and a vibration that can really turn things around in the favor of the majority. So,
that'd be
um,
nice.
yeah, so do not wait. I'm with you. Start now. So, thank you. This is sponsored by the National Association of Sales Professionals. And one of the things you heard us say, don't need to teach yourself everything. What we offer, which I find absolutely incredible, is a seller assessment. So one of the things people do is when you learn how to sell, generally that's the habit of how you sell for the duration. If you don't do any self-development coaching or anything that deals with your unconscious, how you communicate, you will be the same time seller for your entire career. So this is a great assessment that really tells you how you're communicating, how you're responding to the buyer, and to tell you what you currently do and what the ideal opportunity of how you can respond to the buyer so that you can create that emotional connection that turns into more transactions. So it's seller style assessment at nesp.com/join, and you get access to the seller style assessment, get some free tips on how to up level your sales game and bring in more clients. So thank you for watching. I'll see you all next Monday. Serious, stay where you are. And
Okay.
everyone, see you next Monday. Bye.
Bye.